Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me once again. I am Linda Margaret, the author of To Love Myself. Here is chapter 4, as promised, titled Caleb's World. At home, Caleb replayed their meeting in his mind, the image of Samantha's defiant eyes burning into his memory. He could still see the flash of anger, the way her jaw tightened, the almost imperceptible tremor in her voice. But beneath the anger, he had glimpsed something else. A flicker of vulnerability that had intrigued him, drawn him in. Why am I so worried? He muttered, the question echoing in the empty apartment. The sterile scent of the high-rise condo, a blend of expensive cleaning products and faint, unidentifiable perfumes, did little to soothe his restless thoughts. He wasn't usually this preoccupied. Women came and went in his life, a blur of fleeting encounters and manufactured affections. He was used to the adulation, the flirtation, the calculated smiles. It was all part of the game, the price of fame. But Samantha, she was different. Her anger, her vulnerability, the way she had looked at him, it was all so real. It was a stark contrast to the superficiality of his life. Just hours ago, he'd been taking pictures with fans, flashing a practiced smile for the cameras, reciting pre-approved sound bites. Now, in the silence of his apartment, Samantha's raw anger echoed in his mind, a jarring reminder of the genuine emotions he'd long since buried. Worried about what? Amy startled him, walking in as he talked to himself in the bathroom. She was dressed in a slinky silk robe, its shimmering fabric clinging to her curves. Her hair, perfectly styled, cascaded over her shoulders, each strand carefully placed. She moved with a practiced grace, every gesture designed to attract attention, to command the room. She exuded an air of effortless glamour, but it felt rehearsed. The soft glow of the bathroom vanity lights reflected off the polished marble countertops, highlighting the perfect symmetry of her features. The carefully applied makeup that never smudged, never faltered. Hey, he said, looking at her in the mirror. He met her gaze briefly, a fleeting acknowledgement, then looked away. A flicker of discomfort in his eyes. He felt a pang of guilt, knowing he was already planning to deceive her the following day. She caressed his back, her touch light and teasing, then wrapped her arms around him, her body pressing against his. He briefly touched her hand, a perfunctory gesture, then let his hand drop to the counter. He avoided her gaze, not wanting to reveal his plans for the next day. The brunch meeting he was already anticipating with a mix of excitement and apprehension. He knew that Amy would disapprove. She was possessive, territorial, and he suspected that she saw Samantha as a threat, even though he hadn't given her any reason to. Or had he? He wondered. So, what's worrying you? She asked again, her voice a low murmur, laced with a hint of impatience. Work. Our next take, he lied, the words tasting like ash in his mouth. He hated lying to her, but it had become a habit, a necessary shield against the emptiness of their relationship. The truth was too complicated, too painful to explain. He couldn't tell her that he was haunted by the memory of a woman he had barely spoken to, a woman who had punched his bodyguard and then dismissed him with a cutting remark. He couldn't tell her that he was planning to meet with this woman the next day, driven by a strange compulsion he didn't understand. He couldn't even explain it to himself. Was it her anger, her vulnerability, or something else entirely? Amy chuckled, a throat sound that didn't quite reach her eyes. Oh, that, she said, kissing his back, her lips lingering for a moment. You have nothing to worry about. You're a star, Caleb. Everything you touch turns to gold. She smiled, a dazzling practiced smile, meeting his gaze in the mirror. Caleb saw the smile, the practiced affection, and felt a familiar wave of resentment. He knew it was all an act, a performance honed over months of red carpets and staged photo shoots. The thoughts circled endlessly in his mind every time she touched him, every time she looked at him. He couldn't bear it any longer. The charade had become unbearable. He knew with a certainty that settled deep into his bones that neither of them loved the other. Their relationship had begun as a publicity stunt, orchestrated by their managers and solidified by a restrictive contract. They'd been thrown together in a Manhattan apartment almost immediately after filming began, a forced intimacy that had only amplified the artificiality of their connection. They shared a bed, they shared meals, they even shared a public persona, but they didn't share their hearts. He remembered one night early in their relationship when they were supposed to be practicing a romantic scene. Amy had recited her lines perfectly, her voice dripping with Sakarian sweetness. But when he tried to kiss her, it felt wrong, like kissing a stranger. He pulled away and she'd given him a look that was both annoyed and calculating. "What's the matter?" she'd ask, her voice losing its practiced warmth. "Can't handle a little fake romance?" This was his memory. "I'm staying at my sister's tonight," Caleb said, pulling a black shirt over his head. He needed to escape the suffocating atmosphere of the apartment, the constant pretense. "What? Why?" Amy asked, her voice laced with surprise and a hint of annoyance. She reached for him as he gathered his things, her fingers brushing against his arm. He flinched instinctively, then cursed himself for his reaction. "I gotta go." He avoided her eyes, moving quickly around their bedroom. He couldn't bear to look at her, to see the disappointment, the calculation in her eyes. "Caleb, we'll be fine. Stop worrying. Besides, shouldn't we practice?" She smirked, a hint of something sharp in her tone. She was referring to their on-screen chemistry, the carefully choreographed scenes of romance and intimacy that were required of them. The thought made him cringe. He was tired of the rehearsals, the staged kisses, the forced smiles. He longed for something real, something genuine. He longed for the kind of connection he glimpsed in Samantha's eyes, even amidst her anger. "When's tomorrow, remember? Our contract?" Amy asked, her voice laced with annoyance. "I need a break," he replied, his voice tight. "I can't keep playing this part." He grabbed his keys and left, the silence of the elevator a welcome relief after the forced intimacy of the apartment. The familiar route, a comfort in the midst of his turmoil. The hum of the engine, the rhythmic swish of the windshield wipers against the light drizzle, created a soothing white noise that filled the car. His sister, Sally, wasn't expecting him, but he needed to talk to her. She was the one person who always knew what to say, the one person who could cut through the noise and offer him some clarity. He parked the car, exhausted. He knew he should go in, talk to Sally, but the thought of explaining everything, of reliving the day's event, was overwhelming. He looked at the house, then at the back seat of his car. "I don't fit," he thought. "Maybe just for a little while?" He continued to think. He could talk to Sally in the morning, when he was more rested, more prepared. He closed his eyes, the image of Samantha's face etched with anger and vulnerability filling his mind. He wondered what she was doing right now. Was she thinking about him at all? He doubted. The thought settled in his stomach like a mass of lead. He knew he had to see her. He had to. He didn't know why, but he felt a strange pull towards her, a sense that their paths were destined to cross again. He reclined the seat and closed his eyes, the silence of the car a strange comfort. He thought of Samantha's eyes, the way they had flashed with anger, the way they had softened with a fleeting vulnerability. He longed to see that vulnerability again, to understand the pain that lay behind or beneath her anger. He felt a strange sense of urgency, a need to see her, to talk to her, to make things right. He knew it was irrational, illogical, but he couldn't shake the feeling that their meeting was more than just a chance encounter. It was something more. That is the end of chapter 4. Chapter 5 is titled Jersey, and because it's a little bit longer, I think I'm going to have to wait for the next video. Um, and I really hope that you're enjoying this. If you are, I would love it if you would subscribe, hit like, and comment. Give me feedback. Let me know what you think of the readings, of the story itself. Do you have any questions on it that need clarifying? Let me know. I would be more than happy to reply. Thank you.